Hi there, this is Chris Morris, and this is my prototype, Victorian Gardens. Victorian Gardens is a card game for 2 to 5 players. It plays within about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on player count. To set up a game of Victorian Gardens, you deal 6 cards to each player from the top of the deck, and then you place 3 cards to create 3 discard piles next to the draw deck. Each player is given a garden board. Each garden board will have 10 tokens that are randomly seated onto it. Some of the tokens are blank. Any of those tokens can be removed from the board during setup. Once players have seated their boards, play can begin. On a player's turn, they do one of 3 things, or they do 3 different things. First of all, they draw a card. They can either draw a card from the top of the draw pile or from any one of the 3 discard piles. They take that card and add it to their hand of cards that they have. Then they place a card from their hand onto their garden board. They can place their initial card anywhere that they want into the garden, but from that point on, any card that is placed onto the board has to be placed adjacent to any previously placed card. We'll just go ahead and place this one here. Once a card has been placed, they then take their remaining cards that I have in their hand, and they must discard one back to the discard piles. If at any point there's ever an empty pile because it's been depleted, then a card must be placed on there. If a token is removed from the board, it can be kept for later on or it can be activated immediately. This card here allows a player to draw another card. So again, they can draw a card from the top of the deck or from one of the 3 discard piles, which is added to their hand. So once a player has drawn a card, played a card into their garden, and then discarded a card, play proceeds to the next player. Players continue to place cards onto their garden boards until all 10 cards have been placed on a board, at which point the game is over and you'll go to final scoring. This over here is an example of a finished garden board. This player has gone into a strategy with a lot of annuals, which are the dark purple cards that are there. Annuals have an ability where they score a base value of 4 points, but then they'll score more points if other certain perennials are in the garden. So this one here will score an extra 4 points if it has a geranium or a velvet curtain in the garden. This player does have a velvet curtain, so they'll score an extra 4 points for that. Players tally up all of the different cards that they have in their garden, and whoever has the highest score wins. All of the different suits are designed differently, so there's lots of different combinations that players can do. No 2 games will ever be the same. Some players might go into a heavy flower strategy. Some players may decide to plant a lot of different trees. Some players may collect a lot of tools that can benefit other cards that are in the garden. Some cards that a player has this red border. A red border tells you that you must flip other cards that you have in your garden. This crow here, for example, will flip any other birds that are in your garden. So this quail will not score any points. It will get flipped over, and it counts as 0 points at the end of the game. So players must be careful when they're placing cards onto their gardens, because some may affect other cards in negative ways. There's tons of different combinations that can go into the game. All the different suits kind of play differently from one to another. So you'll tally up all the different points that you have on your board, and whoever has the highest score at the end of the game wins. This has been Victorian Gardens, and I hope this interests you in some way to find out a little bit more. Thank you very much.